Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business since 1994. This podcast is brought to you by Jonathan and Lyn Gildon of the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 280 now 5-star reviews on Zillow, and they are simply the best. They have a great team. Whenever I open up Instagram, I see them all selling houses, and you know what? To be good at what you do, you got to be good at what you do. I will put their information in the show notes. So let's talk a little bit about what we can add to our diet that will significantly help us. And it's actually quite simple. And what to add is fiber. All right. Add fiber to your diet. Too often we hear and we speak, we experts are also telling you this all the time, but we're telling you what to remove from your diet. And yes, there's a lot of truth to that. We do need to remove extra calories if we want to lose weight. We do need to remove additive sugars if we want to lose weight and keep our blood glucose levels in good check. We do have to remove saturated fats. Those are fats that come from animals if we want to keep our cholesterol in check and also lose weight. So there are things that we need to remove for sure. But there's also things that we can add to our diet to significantly help us. And I think that when we talk about adding something, it just sounds a heck of a lot more positive than always talking about a negative, such as removing something or taking something away, right? Because when we think of taking something away, we think of dieting, right? And dieting has such a negative connotation to it. So one tip I can give you today that I think will really, really help you is adding fiber to your diet. All right. So I think everybody is well aware of what fiber does, at least the most popular reason why people are told to ingest it. And that is it helps you eliminate food from your body. So it helps in digestion and elimination. And that is absolutely true. And that is very, very good for you. But the other thing fiber does is it helps you control your blood glucose levels. When you eat carbohydrates that are full of fiber instead of sugar, number one, you feel more satiated. So you feel more full. Fiber really, really fills you up. But number two, it also helps you maintain better blood glucose levels. It slows things down. It is one of the chief ingredients in carbohydrates that actually has the greatest impact on the glycemic level. All right. So as I've spoken of in other podcasts, and I will speak about today, the glycemic index is how quickly the blood sugar converts to glucose. So how quickly the carbohydrate converts to glucose. The higher the glycemic level, the quicker it's converted to glucose. Now, the quicker it gets converted to glucose, the faster we have to use it. So if we don't use glucose floating around in our bloodstream, we do not necessarily store it as glycogen unless in the right situation, we will store it as fat. So we want that carbohydrate to absolutely absorb slowly. And that's what we refer to as medium to slow or low glycemic index carbohydrates. All right. So if it absorbs slowly, it's a low glycemic index carbohydrate. If it absorbs quickly, it's a high or higher glycemic index. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, we want it to convert slowly because, again, fast means that you're using it right away. So during exercise, we would want to have the higher glycemic index carbohydrates, or immediately following exercise, we would want to have the higher glycemic index carbohydrate. But again, most of the time, we want lower. I want to say low, but there is a lot of discrepancy over from mid to lower index glycemic index carbohydrates. It can get a little confusing as to what is ideal. It also depends on how old the actual fruit is and how it converts and things like that. So I'm just going to use the term lower and higher. We want the glycemic index lower than higher most of the time. So the main ingredient that can get that accomplished is fiber. When you look at all of the glycemic index foods that are considered mid to low, you will notice they are higher in fiber. So take a look at one of the items that's listed at the very top of the glycemic index chain. And for some reason, the tables always use cornflakes. That's kind of funny if you ask me. But anyway, they use cornflakes as having almost 100% glycemic index level. That means it converts the sugar almost instantaneously. All right. So that's really high. Look at the fiber content, 0. Now they might have added some in just so it's not at 0 anymore, but it's going to be at 1 at best. The foods that we want to consume should have at least 3 grams of fiber per serving. And if you look at the glycemic index foods that are lowest on the list, such as legumes, beans, nuts, things of that nature, they're very high in fiber. So what can we do? We can simply make sure that every meal we consume has high fiber foods. The American Medical Association and the RDA and the American Heart Association, so it may not be the AMA, so I take that back. The American Heart Association, although I'm sure the AMA have an input on this as well, but the American Heart Association and the ACSM and the RDA talk about the amount of fiber we should have, and they always list 40 grams for men, 35 for women. And I think I've mentioned this before. It's kind of silly that they're using 5 less grams for women when really the reality is it comes down to body weight, and that's how they're coming up with these numbers. But I don't think that goes far enough. I would like to see everybody have at least 40, preferably 50 grams of fiber per day. On a lot of days, I can go back and look at what I ate, and I'm close to 100 grams of fiber per day. Now, the other cool thing about fiber is it's free calories. I mean, so when you look at, say, a carbohydrate meal, and I keep stating carbohydrate meal because everybody needs to be aware that fiber only comes from plants. There's no such thing as fiber in animals. So fiber is technically called the non-digestible portion of a plant. So that's actually what fiber is. All right. So I can look at my day and I'm close to 100 grams per day because I'm eating a lot of plants. I'm plant-based. That's how I prefer to do things. I think it's the healthier way to go. So, that's what I do. But anyway, getting back to the calories on that. So let's say I've consumed 100 calories of a carbohydrate, but 10% of that is of fiber. All right. That means that really only 90% of that carbohydrate or meal was digested. So meaning I ate 100 calories, but I'm really only digesting 90 calories. So it's pretty cool, right? It's kind of like free food. So that's why if we think about adding food to your diet instead of thinking of subtraction all the time, it's basically subtraction by elimination, and it's a lot easier to add food to your diet. So it's subtracting via addition, I should say, and it's a lot easier to think about adding food to your diet than it always is about subtracting. All right? So I want you at least 50 grams of fiber per day. Now let me help you with food choices. Most of your vegetables, if not almost all of your vegetables, especially if you eat them raw, are going to be higher in fiber. All right? Most of your fruits are high in fiber, with the exception of things like watermelon, melon, pineapple. So the really sugary fruits are not high in fiber. So we can increase our fiber by eating a lot of pears, apples, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. If we eat in that family, and also bananas, they have high fiber. So if we eat a lot of fruits, we're good. If we eat a lot of vegetables, we're good. Now there are certain cereals that are out there that are really good for fiber, such as all bran, toasted oats. Basically, it's really easy to figure out. I know everybody talks about, well, I should eat more whole foods. And look, that's absolutely true. But that's true because it's restoring its natural content of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So you can look at some of these commercially made carbohydrate products and just simply look at the back of the box. I mean, a box of all bran cereal has 9 grams of fiber. That's huge. Toasted oats has like 4 or 5 grams. So really, it comes down to, if you're going to eat commercially based carbohydrates, just make sure that they're really high in fiber. Make sure that the breads that you choose are higher in fiber than lower. Again, at least 3 grams of fiber. I like to go a little bit higher than that. And as you can probably hear, I'm battling the old parking lot sweeper out here, who seems to be getting louder as I talk louder. Here he comes. Hear him? That's lovely. Okay. So anyway, it sounds like he's eating a lot of fiber, right? So you can also, when you're choosing your rices and your pastas and your foods like that, just simply make sure that they are high in fiber. Again, at least 3 grams. You can do this at every single meal. Make that your goal. Make your eating one meal at a time. Go through life that way. Just say, I'm going to worry about this meal, one meal at a time, and make sure you're getting as much fiber as you can. So if you're eating 3 meals a day and you want to get 50 grams of fiber in, so make sure that you've done the math, right? And had like 17 or so grams of fiber at a meal, and make it all work for you. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfectly 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever, but just get it higher, and you will go through your day feeling a lot more satiated, feeling better. Your blood work will be better. You will lose weight. All right. And don't worry about the side effects of more fiber, if you know what I mean. Don't worry about it. There is absolutely worse things out there than that. Fiber is your friend. Fiber is so healthy. And that's what I want you to consider today. All right. Now let me thank Daytona Beach Overhead Door Company. They make the best garage doors, and they have the best service. If you have a problem, they come right out. They've got a fleet. They're the best. Jeff and Zach Hawk are the owners. Personal. You're going to get good service because they're locally owned. They care about the reputation. And I know them well. They're great guys, great company. So give them a shout. I will put their information in the show notes. Until next time, bump up that fiber. Don't worry about the side effects, and be Maxwell.